was actually born in Korea, but made in America. So I was born in Gwangju, Jeollado. Anyone from Jeollado? Okay, no one from my hometown, so no fist bump. Okay, all right. So reviews. So we review some of the most innovative theories and practices in democratic governance, or the partnership of government and society to address common problems. So basically, we're going to address 3 key concepts in our class: the idea of governance, civil society, and diversity. Okay, and the first concept is governance. Okay, and the idea. So the old concept was government with a T. Okay, but the new concept is governance with a CE. And the idea is that in the old model, government agency exercises monopoly in public policy. Okay? But the new model is that you have multiple government and non-governmental actors that implement public policy. And a good example might be, I guess a good example might be like education. Okay? So who's Korean? Are you Korean? Are you Korean? Oh, good for you. Okay? So if you want to be educated, you need to go where? Yes. And what kind of school did you go? You went to public school, right? It was a government school, right? So usually, like in Korea, for most people, if you want to get education, you go to one school. Do you have choice? 선택 or no 선택? Right, you have no 선택. You have no choice. 선택 means what? For those who are learning Korean? Choice. Yes, all right. Catch is fast. So no 선택, no choice. Okay? But on this Friday, we're going to do a reading about education in New Orleans, Louisiana. Okay? Because in New Orleans, Louisiana, you have choice. You can go to a regular government school, or you can go to imagine you can go to charter school. Okay? So charter school is imagine you go to 학원, and a lot of people go to 학원, right? You go to 학원, and that's it. You don't have to go to regular school. You don't have to go to public school. You can learn everything at 학원, and as long as you're learning a lot, you don't have to go to public school. You can choose, and 학원 will be free because government will pay. Okay, so imagine education like that. Okay, what countries are you guys from? Netherlands. Oh, Netherlands, great. And do you have choice in education? Oh, not really. Do you want choice, or do you think, do you think choice is a good idea?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think a lot of people drop out of school.
Okay. Right. So maybe too much. So the question is how much choice is good, right? In New Orleans, everybody has to go to school, but they can choose between public school, charter school, which is like 학원, but government pays, or you can go to Catholic school, religious school, and the government subsidizes. And it works in New Orleans because it kind of forces competition, and it also gives opportunity for people who really want to teach, who really want to create a new school. As long as you get students, you can create any school you want. And so this has pushed up the education level in New Orleans. But the point is that in places like New Orleans, we're moving beyond the old model, which is a government monopoly. Now we have governance, where the government is no longer in charge of providing education. Government is mainly in charge of making sure that everybody learns. But we don't care what school you go to, as long as you learn. Okay? And the key concept here is steering versus rowing. Okay? Has anyone been on a boat before? Okay, you've been on a boat, right? So on a boat, so what does it mean to, there's people who row, right? And if you row, you're doing the what? Hard work or easy work? Yes, hard work. You're pushing the boat, okay? But there's also somebody who steers, okay? Hello.
Hello. We're coming from another building, and it ended quite late, so.
Okay, thank you for coming. All right, come on up. Come on, sit down. So, anywhere you like. We're talking about how government is changing, Okay, and one of the key concepts is rowing versus steering. Okay, so rowing, you're doing the work. Steering is you're what? You're kind of guiding the boat. Okay, you're guiding the boat. Okay, so the new concept of governance is that government doesn't have to row, but it has to steer. Okay, so in terms of education, government doesn't have to run all the schools. It doesn't have to hire all the teachers, but it has to make sure that all the schools, whether it's Hagwon or regular school or Catholic school, government has to make sure that all those schools are teaching the students, that students are learning. So in New Orleans, government only runs maybe like 30% of the schools, but it tests all the students every year. And if the students are not passing the test, so for example, if a school has only like 30 or 40% of the students passing, then the school will not be able to renew its contract. Do you understand? Okay. So, concepts of steering and rowing. Okay, now, and we're going to read more about this on Friday. Teachable moment. Okay. Now, you can contrast this to other countries. For example, Korea. Korean government tends to be more of the government model, government monopoly model. And the Korean government has historically been very opposed to any competition. For example, it doesn't like hagwons. It's very opposed to hagwons, even though many students learn more at hagwons than in public schools. So the education system in Korea tends to be very centralized and monopoly government. Okay, can anyone think of why why some people would prefer monopoly to choice and competition? Because some of you might think that choice, competition, 선택 sounds like a good idea or bad idea. It sounds what? Maybe good or bad? Or okay, yes. Okay. Oh, stop. Yeah. This is an OCW class, so people have to see you. Can you come up? Sure. Okay. Come on up. Price is right. Okay. Okay. No. Okay. So for this, what's your name?
Sean.
Everybody say hi, Sean. Hi, Sean. Where are you from?
I'm German and English, but I study in Holland.
Okay, so everywhere.
Yeah, so I don't know, this is just my thoughts. So maybe because like if you have more choices, then you also have more uncertainty. And if you're, for instance, uncertainty avoidance from a cultural aspect, I do communication studies, then that's uncomfortable for people who are not that individualistic, maybe.
Sure. So give us your name again.
Sean.
Sean. So internet audience, Sean.
Oh.
It's hard. So it's a hard word for Koreans to. Okay. Anyway, so Sean is saying that individual choice might be too confusing. Okay, that people might make bad choices. It might lead to bad results. Okay. And then in your country, whether it's wherever you went to school, did you have choice or no choice?
Yeah, we have choices, but
what country was this?
All three countries.
Okay, all three countries.
But for instance, Germans, for instance, they're also they avoid, they like rules a little bit more and guidance, while for instance in Holland, they don't like that so much. They like having the choice, and it really depends on what you're used to, but yeah, it really depends on what you're used to. But I had to get used to having the choices as well, and in the end, now for me, I like it, but in the beginning, it was scary for me.
It was a little scary to have choices.
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. Yay. So that was a perspective from Holland, England, what was your third country? And Germany. Okay, can I get a perspective from another country? Or Korea? Oh, yes. Okay, come on up. Okay, choice, good or bad? Okay, what's your name?
My name is Emily.
Say hi, Emily.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I just think it could be good, really good, but it also can be bad. It depends on for me, and I think that's a huge debate in Sweden right now, the school have to give you the same opportunity. Like, if they don't, I think the choice is really bad. But if they do, then it's okay. Like before, you could choose in Sweden, like if you want to go to an acting school or just social science school when you were like 15, more or less like high school. And then you could all go to university when you're older because you had some classes you had to have. But now they changed it, so if you choose like acting or building or construction and not like math and natural science, you won't get into university. And I think that's not a good choice, because when you're 15, you might tired of school, or I don't know, maybe your mom died or whatever. You can't make that choice when you're like 15 years old. And that choice is no good, I think. And also it depends on if it's a private school. And I don't really know what this Hagwon is, but...
Hagwon is like, it's like an after-school academy, private school.
Okay, yeah.
It's like after-school
Yeah,
programs.
okay. Because I also think that it's private schools, and if you have to pay for it yourself, well, you can ask what kind of choice that is. Is it a choice for everyone, or is it just a choice for the one with money?
Sure. What if,
So.
what if the government gives everybody money to go to
Yeah, but
private
then
school? Would that be like
yeah.
vouchers? Then would that be more fair?
Yeah,
Okay.
definitely.
And also, like you said, like in the old days, you could do acting or math and science. Do you think that's good, or do you think everybody should just focus on like math and science, like the core subjects?
No.
Why not? You
Be-
don't like
No, but I think that, like I said, when you're 15, like, you should be able to do whatever works for you to go to school, and you still have to do, like that's what I said, because when you chose like acting or painting or like construction, that you also have to read math and science and stuff, but not maybe on the highest levels, and you can do that afterwards if you feel like you want to do it. And now I'm just talking, but it's also like a class perspective, because in Sweden at least, most people who go to those like building, construction, acting school, they're like the lower classes or not, and the one who go to science school, they're more like high classes, and that also makes like only high classes on the universities and stuff. So I think it's real difficult questions. Like,
complex question.
yeah.
Okay. Say thank you, Emily. Yay. Okay. Now, the issue in Korea is that, like for example, like 20, 30 years ago, there was a very strict government monopoly. Everybody went to public school, no private education. Even tutoring, like tutors, that was illegal. So if you wanted to tutor, you have to kind of do it very secretly. Money under the table. Have you heard of under the table? Table, right? Okay. And so in the past, since Korea has become more liberalized and democratized, the education market has become more free, but there's still a lot of debate. And there's still many people who say hagwons, private education, private tutoring is bad. And so they wanna pass rules to maybe go back to the old days, right? Or at least to kind of restrict hagwons more and more. For example, there was a law passed a couple of years ago that hagwons need to close by 10 p.m. Okay, because they were like some were open like all night or something. Okay, so the question is, do we want to have a more open education system where people can choose between different things, or do we want to have more restrictions, especially on the hagwons? Okay, let me get a Korean volunteer. I give you more points. Okay, come on up. Yay! I want an A. Okay, all right. Okay. I used to teach kindergarten. You can tell. Okay. Okay, come up here. What's your name?
My name is Chu Hadi.
Everybody say hi, Juha Lee. We're dismissing me. Okay, where are you from?
I'm from Incheon, Korea.
Okay,
Yeah.
Incheon, Korea. The airport. Okay.
Yeah.
So, hagwons, good or bad?
The opinion of
Yes.
I think in reality hagwon is inevitable in Korea because there are good education in public, but there are lots of competitions in Korea, and is a little bit impossible to win at the competition just from public school.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Miss Lee's saying because there's so much competition,
Yeah.
people have to get extra education through tutors or the hagwons, the
Yeah.
after-school academies. Okay. But the question is, what should? Oh, by the way, in my class, I don't care what your opinion is. I only care about how you support your claim. Okay, how you support your claim and link it to key concepts for my class. Okay. Now, well, what should the government do? Do you think the government should just 반대?
Yeah, but
What does 반대 mean? It means bang. Okay?
Yeah.
Because you're learning Korean, right? Do you think Korean government should 반대 all the hagwons or no?
But I think the Hagwon is also the problem. So because the children or the students who are in good house, like who are rich, can get the good education from Hagwon, but the people who are poor or doesn't have much money in the house cannot get the private tutoring.
So
Yeah.
what should the
So I think government should oppose to the Hagwon.
So get rid of the hagwons?
No, but that's impossible. So
Why not? That's impossible.
Because-
Government has power, right?
yeah, but also people have the right to choose what they want to learn.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think it's so difficult problem to. Or so.
Okay. So Sharma's saying that what if the government gave vouchers, money to all students, so they can go to so the government can pay for the hagwons. Would that be more
But-
fair?
But that will also be the problem because if government gives the voucher to the students, maybe Hagwon will raise the money.
Okay.
Yeah, but so I think the the solution is making the public education better,
Okay.
and people can get the good education from the public schools and don't need to go to Hagwon. Yeah, yeah.
What was your personal experience? Do you think you learned more at public school or at the hagwon?
I think public school is better.
But
Yeah.
personally, did you learn more at public school or did you learn more at the hagwon?
Personally, I in fact learned from Hagwon more.
Oh,
Yeah.
she's a hypocrite.
But I think there are a lot of good things to learn in the public schools too. So yeah.
That's fine. I can actually ask that to all the students who went to private after. For those who went to both public school and hagwon or your country's equivalent, do you think you learn more at the public school or hagwon? Raise your hand if you learn more at the public school. Okay, 4. Who learned more at the hagwon? Oh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Why did you just sleep at the public school? Okay. Okay, thank you very much. Yay. I think Ms. Lee said something that was very important, which is that many people today think education is a fundamental human right. Okay? And so they don't want the government to tell them what to do in terms of their children's education. For example, like we have this controversy in Seoul because right now the Seoul Metropolitan Education Office, they want education to be more equal, so they want to close down the private high schools. So there are these independent private high schools, and the Korean government wants to close down, I think there's 14, and the government wants to close down 8 of them. Okay? They want to turn them into regular public schools. So that way, it will be more equal. Yes? Sure. Yes. Come on up.
So,
Sharma has a question.
Yeah. How is it in Korea? Because, for instance, I went to public school and I went to private school. And when I went to the private school, you would think that the education would be better, but in fact, it was not better. It's just you pay and you get all the papers, even though you don't do anything. You don't have to do much. You just pay, basically.
Sure.
So.
Well, because I think one thing is that in Korea, private schools are a little different from hagwon. Okay, let me first talk about hagwon because that's the most common. I think if you talk to most Korean students, they will say they learn more at the Hagwon because there's so much competition among the Hagwons. And so they have to work really hard to get students to come. And so if they're not doing, so if they're not, if the students are not happy, then the parents won't pay. And so like, just speaking from my experience, like I'm from California, very easygoing. And then I remember when I married my wife, she said, "Oh, I'm gonna be great parents and make our kids happy and free." It was a lie, anyway. Because like now we live in Korea, she became like a Korean ajumma, okay? And then, so all the Korean parents, they spend a lot of time looking for like the best hagwons, because actually students learn more at the hagwons. And one reason is that government, they try to make education like easier for students, so they're kind of like lowering the standards. So they're making like English and math easier. That's what I heard, right? So that's what my wife tells me. And so, for example, like I went to, so my son is actually learning less than what he was learning in California. So my California school, they're almost like one grade above, okay? So if I ever want to send my kids to like high school or college in the United States, then I have to send them to Hagwon so they can catch up to international standards. Because if they just go to regular public school, they will not be prepared for any educational system outside of Korea, because the standards are very low. Anyway, it's not like Singapore. Singapore, the system is very high. Okay, so that's one issue. So there's a lot of tension between opportunity and freedom versus equality. So the liberals in Korea, they want to push for equality. So they want to restrict the hagwons, get rid of the private schools, private high schools. But for those who want like freedom and opportunity, if they cannot get it in Korea, and if they cannot get it at the hagwon because of the restrictions, then they just go to like overseas. So that's why you're seeing like Koreans everywhere. They're like the Ebola virus, okay? We talk about this in my other class. They're like, so you see like thousands of Koreans in like Philippines, Singapore, every country, because they're going for opportunity, okay? Anyway, so that's an interesting challenge. So Friday, I want you to see what other governments have done. So for example, in New Orleans, imagine like every hagwon is free, because hagwon, imagine a system where hagwons, they get government contracts. And if you get a government contract, you have to accept every student who wants to come to your school, or you have to do a lottery. You cannot pick and choose. You can only do lottery or accept everybody. And you have to teach everybody to a high standard. And if you don't teach them to a high standard, then you lose your contract. Okay? So anyway, so check out so this is a reading that we're going to do for Friday. Anyway, so that's a concept of governance, that government partners with other institutions like hagwons, okay? And it allows for choice. Okay. The second key concept is civil society and social capital. And this concept of civil society and social capital, a lot of it comes from the West, especially from the United States. Well, this is what our class is about, right? Civil society. And so, so a key theory, and so the idea is that Americans, that people, they want to maximize liberty, and they see government, especially central government, as a threat to liberty. Okay, so the idea is that if there's a problem, you want to learn to solve it yourself instead of just asking the government for help. Okay, so Tocqueville said in Europe, in France, when there's a problem, when people need fresh water, they need to dig a well, they ask the government. In England, they ask the great lord, okay, like the county lord. But in the United States, people get together with their fellow neighbors and they dig the well themselves. Do you understand? Okay, and then like James Bond, Daniel Craig. Do you like him? Yeah, he's a machine gun guy, right? Very handsome. Anyway, so along with James Bond, he was in another movie called Cowboys and Aliens. Did anyone see that? Woohoo! All right. Okay, so it's a great movie, right? So so Daniel Craig, he plays a cowboy. Okay, and then one day aliens come. It's a strange plot, but aliens come to this western town, right? And so what do the cowboys do? Do they ask the government, government, help me, help me? Do they do that? No. What does the cowboys do? Yes, they fight back. They form a posse. Do you know what posse is? Yes, your crew, okay? So it's not just a bunch of rappers, okay? It was actually started by cowboys, okay? So in the old days, when there was a problem, you got together with your neighbors, you formed a posse, a crew, and they went off to fight the aliens, and they won! Anyway, but you get the idea, right? So this is a very civil society model, okay? But you can contrast that to other models, okay? For example, in Korea, we don't have cowboys versus aliens. We have stories like what's that? Like Cheonggae. What was the story about this nice girl who got beat up by the evil guy, and then anyway, there's this nice girl and there was a nice boy next door, and the nice boy had to go to Seoul for a government exam, and when the boy went to Seoul, there was this evil lord who beat up the girl, right? And she said, "You have to, be my wife or something." And she said, "No, I'm loyal to my husband or man." What was her name? Oh, Chunyang. Okay. All right. And then, okay, so the evil guy is beating up Chunyang, right? Do the cowboys form a posse and save Chunyang? No. Who saves Chunyang? Because how? Because the boyfriend became what? Did he become a cowboy?
He became
Right, he became a government official. Do you understand? So in Cowboys versus Aliens, imagine Daniel Craig studying for an exam so he can become a high government official, and then you fight the aliens. Okay? No, you don't do that. You just fight the aliens right away. But in the Korean system, you have a very centralized government monopoly. So you don't form posse. You spend many years studying until you become a high government official. And then you come back and save your girlfriend. And she's like, "Oh, you finally saved me." Anyway. But then if you're American, you might say like, "Why took you so long?" It's like, I was getting beat up all the time while you're studying for the exam. Anyway, so it's two very different stories. Okay? So cowboys versus government official. Okay? And you can imagine what system you like better. Okay? Anyway, so that's civil society. Okay? Cowboys versus government monopoly, Chunyang. Okay? But historically, Korea has been a very centralized system, very Chunyang system, because every boy's dream, and now girl's dream too, is to do what? Is to study hard and pass what? Yeah, some kind of exam. Okay? So that's their dream. They have to pass an exam. Okay? Because every person's dream is to pass an exam and go to what? Why you want to pass an exam? So you can work where?
I can work video, public office.
Frank, why don't you come up? Okay. All right. Come on up. This class is right. Okay. All right. What's your name?
Hi, my name is Hoyer.
Say hi, Hoyer.
Hi.
Okay. So what grade are you, Tanya?
I'm first grade.
Oh, okay. So you study hard. Why did you study hard in high school? Where are you from?
I'm from Changwon, Gyeongsangdo.
Oh, he's from Gyeongsangdo. Anyway, you don't know. Changwon, Gyeongsang. So that means he's a hick from the countryside. Oh, relative.
Okay.
This big city this. Okay. So people from Gyeongsangdo, their dream is to what? For every high school student, their dream is to what?
I think this depends on people, but
Okay.
when I was high school student, I want to go to university, good university,
Mhm.
so-called
Right.
Hanyang.
Right, right. So Gyeongsangdo is like it's in the southeast. Okay. So I probably for like 80-90% of students, their dream is to what? Go to a big university, and that means a big university in Seoul. Okay.
Are those universities private? Do you have to pay here in Korea to get into university? Or?
Not to get in. Well, I think most of the top universities in Seoul are private.
Okay.
The best university is there's a couple of good universities like Seoul National and also Seoul City University, which are public, so it's like half the price. But then other universities like Hanyang is expensive, right? It's private. But many Korean students think that I need to go to the best. I need to be like Chunyang's boyfriend, right? I need to be the best, and so they come to Seoul. Because they think that how come you didn't go to like 경상도 대학교 or 대구 대학교? Why not?
Because the people who live in this country think the university might be a standard, or it will be like guideline.
Okay.
So if I go to Seoul National or Hanyang University, you studied a lot and you are very good students, and you might be the one who can read the country, something like that.
Right, lead the country. Okay,
Yeah,
not read.
Sorry.
It's not gonna read to the country. Okay, so do you understand this mentality that everybody in Korea, they want to be like Chunyang's boyfriend? They want to study hard for exam and go to the center. And the center means one of the top universities in Seoul. That way you can be a winner. Loser means you don't go to Seoul. You stay in your hometown university. Loser. Okay?
Yeah.
Winner! Congratulations.
Yeah.
Yes. Give me all your hakbi. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yay. So thank you, Mr. Lee. Okay. Now you can, for those from other countries, think about like, does everybody have to go to the center? Or can you still have a nice life, successful life, without going to the top university? Yes? Can you come up? Explain? Okay. So she's saying, I don't want to be like Chunyang's boyfriend. Okay? Okay, what's your name?
My name is Ras.
Say hi, Ross. Hi, Ross. And where are you from?
I'm from the Netherlands.
Oh, Netherlands?
Yeah.
Okay. And then, what's the system like in the Netherlands? Is it very centralized? Does everybody want to go to the capital? The capital is where?
Amsterdam.
Amsterdam.
Yeah.
Does everybody want to go to the capital? To
No.
go to school? No?
No.
Explain.
Like, for example, I'm from a very small town in the Netherlands,
Okay.
like in the south of the Netherlands. But I go to college in the center of the Netherlands. It's not the capital, but like it's a big city. But it's just, I think that in Holland, the students, they choose more like where do most students go to. Like they want to have a nice student life, like partying and stuff, and not for school. So they go to like big cities, but not all of them go to the capital. But I also have a lot of friends who like want to stay with their close to their family, so they just go to a bigger city that's like 10 kilometers away from our hometown. So it doesn't depend on how good the university is, because I've noticed that in Holland every university, it differs in what they're good in. Like you have some universities that are really good with the business department, and some are really good with the social department. It's just like what's your preference and how hard are you willing to work for your study.
Okay. So in the Netherlands, not all in Korea, all the universities are ranked. Okay. So everybody knows who's number one, right? So there's a very clear ranking from like 1 to like loser, right? 1 to bottom. But it's not like that in the anyway. So it's not like that in the Netherlands. There's no ranking of universities.
I know there is, but I don't think anyone knows who's number one. Like I don't really care about it. Like for me, as long as I'm going to school and I have good teachers, I have good subjects, I'm getting good grades, that's enough for me. Because in the end, it's all the same paper, right? Like you get specialized in the same thing. It doesn't matter like if you went to Amsterdam or to Utrecht or whatever. It's all the same in the end.
Okay. Yes, thank you. Yay. Come on now. Okay, say your name again. Say hi again.
Hi.
Okay.
No, but yeah, I study in her country, and I just want to say that when I came to Holland, I looked at the ranking because I'm German, and Germans like are really like. Oh, some are like some are. I am like so like I was like, but you changed me. But like basically, I went to Groningen because of the business school there, because it was a really good ranking, not just in Holland but also in Europe. But then I kind of got accustomed to all the things that you said, and then I was like, okay, nobody here really cares. So you should do what you love and not what people say you have to do what you love. And then the mentality is, then if you then later look for a job, the person who will, well, your the person who might be your employer one day, he can see if you're passionate about what you're doing. And so it's really important that you love what you're doing and that you're passionate about it, because otherwise if you're just doing it because you think you have to do it, then they can see it kind of. So it's really, they need to see the love and the passion for it, and that you can come up with something new, something that's not, maybe not written in anything you've read, something that's from your own, and you can bring something there that hasn't been there yet before. So,
okay, so you want to, so there's an emphasis on doing like new and creative, following your, we call it following your own drummer. Okay, you heard of that before? Okay, great. Thanks again. Yay. You wanted to say something or add?
Yeah.
Okay.
For example, in Holland, I've noticed that during high school, you have 4 different profiles you can choose from. It's like an economic profile, a culture profile, science, and stuff like that. During high school, I was really forced by my parents to choose like the science and the math part, and high school was like hell for me. Like I would be staying up till midnight crying because I couldn't understand physics or chemistry. So
they all cried, especially that guy. Okay.
So I would just like make a compromise with my parents. I'm doing this for you guys, so I'll have the basic physics, chemistry. But when I go to college, that's my own decision. I want to do whatever I want. I'm not going to listen to any of you. And that's like the mentality of most of the Dutch students. Like when they go to college, their parents, they do not interfere with what they choose to go, where they choose to go. Like if they want to go and do something business, but your parents would prefer something like science, they wouldn't say anything about it. They would just say, go and follow your heart. Just do what you want. They're happy enough that you're going to study and you're not deciding to stay home and live off their money.
Thank you. That's very passionate. Yay. Okay, come on up. And then after this, I want to get some Korean students and see if you have any passion or no passion. Okay. What's your name?
My name is Guillaume. I come from France.
Everybody say hi, Guillaume. Bonjour.
In France, it's very different. It depends of what do you want to do. For example, if you would like to study political science, you just have one way. You need to study in one university and go after in one specialized school. Okay. It's very difficult. It's a very famous school. But for the other field, for example, if you would like to work in a doctor or something like that, there are few paths. You can just have you have a lot of small private school. For example, if you want to work in business, you have small economic and business school in the small city. So it's not very strict and it's not very centralized. It's okay if you don't go in Paris. You can go like in the south of the west of France. So yeah.
So there's a lot of choices.
Yeah.
But once you choose a certain path, like
yeah.
medical,
yeah.
Can you change your mind? Or is it difficult to change?
It's a little bit difficult, but you have a lot of pressure from your parents, your teacher, the society in general. But you can change. You have the freedom to change. So yes.
How about the passion and creativity?
Yeah, sometimes. Yeah, Yes, in general, it's okay, but it's a lot of, yeah.
Okay, thank you. Yay. All right, let's get some couple of Korean students. I want to see if you have any passion or no. Who did you talk yet or no? Okay, let's get you and you. Come on up. Oh, wanna be. Okay, okay, let's get the Korean person first. Hi, what's your name?
Hi, my name is Yoon Sal-이.
Hello, Miss Lee.
서리윤.
Hello, Miss Yoon. So Yoon Sal? E. Okay, I'm really bad at names. Okay, so Miss Yoon. Okay, so tell us about your educational experience. Do you feel this passion and creativity among students here?
Like in high school?
Yeah, high school or college. Well, first of all, where are you from?
I'm from Korea, Seoul.
Oh, you're from Seoul. Okay.
South.
And then, did you feel a lot of pressure to go to just the top universities, or did
Yeah,
you
of
go
course. When I was in high school,
Okay.
I think I was like robot studying machine.
Oh, robot.
Yeah, my life was. I did nothing but just study, nap, eat, study. That's it. Yeah, and
So are you like super smart now?
kind of.
Okay.
And yeah, I was dreaming, and I really wanted to go to college. Then
In Seoul?
yeah, in Seoul.
Why not Gyeongsangdo? You could have met his family. Who's the Gyeongsangdo guy? Oh yeah, that guy. You could have met his mom.
All of my family members live in Seoul, and no offense, but I don't know anything about Gyeongsangdo.
Right, so you have to go to top university in Seoul.
Yeah,
Okay.
and
And then now that you're in college, are you happy now? Or do you feel freedom in college or not really?
I think I am less happier than I thought.
Okay, explain.
When I was in high school, it was like if I go to university, my dream would come true. It will be like that. I was dreaming like that, but I actually came here and I actually decided what to do, politics, and it was a little difficult than I expected.
Okay.
Yeah.
One thing is that in Korean universities, once you choose a major, once you enter with a major and you cannot change. You cannot change. And so, oh, you can change
but
now?
it's just difficult.
Oh, it's difficult? Oh, okay, so the system has changed. And then sometimes people kind of game the system, like, because there is this pressure to go to top universities. So sometimes, I hear like you have all these like agriculture majors who go to Seoul National. So they choose the easiest major so they can enter the top university. So it's kind of like the opposite, where you go and do what you want. No, you don't do what you want. You just go which is the best. And then you think that as long as I go to the best, I can do what I want maybe later. Okay? And then, so I guess, and then once I hear that once people enter university, they still feel a lot of pressure because, first, and I hear that it doesn't matter what major you are, people spend most of their free time just learning English. Is that right?
Maybe.
Because in Korea, every major company, they have to take an English test. I think it's what, TOEIC? Right. So a lot of students feel pressure, like it doesn't matter what major you are, you all focus on learning English so you can pass the company exam. Okay. So what's your dream? Or what was your dream? Is it all dead now? Okay. You have no dream.
So.
Soulless. Okay. Just kidding. What's your dream?
I don't know.
She lost her dream. Thank you. Let's hope we get it back. Okay. Anyway, think about that. Yes?
I don't want to come up. I just want to share it up. Like, it sounds, I mean, I'm from Sweden. If you ask a Swedish student, what's your dream? I don't know. I've been studying economics for 4 years, and then I've been studying social science for 8 years, and now maybe I want to be a doctor. I know it's not like we all have dreams because of passion and stuff. So,
Okay.
So I think
So it's just
maybe
charma.
it could be a good
Okay.
thing. That, okay, my dream is university, and then it might not feel that good, but until you're at university, you're happy.
Okay. I want to talk about a couple of quick things, and then did you have something quick you wanted to add, or?
No, because you said for just Shauna's, but I already studied something before I studied what I study now. So
Oh,
my
I'm just
dream
saying like
change-
passion.
Yeah, now I
I
have
felt that passion from you. Better late than, you know. Okay. Oh. Anyway, going back to my lecture notes. Korea's changing a lot, but historically there's been this very strong centralizing tendency. And because of this strong centralizing tendency, it tends to undermine intermediary institutions. So, for example, like when you have the best and brightest that want to go to Seoul, that means that you don't have a lot of like best and brightest who stay in the local areas, in the jibang, in the countryside. So local institutions are weak. People are dependent on the center, and that also means civil society is weak. Just to give an example, like political parties in Korea, parties like change all the time because parties are not important. The president's office is important. So oftentimes, candidates will change parties or change the name of the parties to help their chances of becoming president. Whereas in the United States, institutions are more stable. And there was a famous example where, like the Republican Party, they told President Nixon that a lot of people don't like you anymore, so you should resign for the good of the country and also for the good of the party. And so the idea is that institutions like party, local government, those are more important than just going to the top. And historically, that's been the case since the beginning. England is actually, United States came from English settlers, right? And England is actually it's a lot more centralized than the United States. There's a strong class system, and the best universities are what? What are the best universities in England? Anybody? Yeah, Oxford, Cambridge, and those have been the best universities for forever. For the past 1,000 years, right? They have a lot of money. Okay, cost a lot of money. Okay, so England is very centralized, and they have top universities, just like Seoul National. But Americans, when they formed a new country, they said, we don't want America to be like England. And so there was actually a bill in Congress to establish a national university in Washington, D.C., kind of like Seoul-dae, okay? But Congress said, no, we don't want a national university in Washington, D.C. We don't want America to be centralized. So instead of creating a national university, Congress gave land, they gave money to individual states to form their own universities. That's why we don't have University of Washington. Actually, we do have University of Washington, but it's on the opposite side, Washington State. That's where Seattle is, right? And so instead of having University of Washington, D.C., we have University of Michigan, University of Washington, University of California. I went to University of California at Berkeley, okay? And so that's why, and because you have very strong local and state institutions, because you have University of California, you were able to form Silicon Valley, okay? And University of Washington, it helped generate things like Microsoft. And anyone from Oregon? Maybe it was a previous class. So you had University of Oregon is near anyone. You know where Oregon is, right? And so one of the graduates from University of Oregon, he formed Nike, okay? And the headquarters of Nike is right next to University of Oregon. And so by decentralizing your education, America was able to decentralize the economy as well. Do you see? And then recently, Korea is starting to do that. They're trying to decentralize, but there's a lot of debate. Okay, so for example, when Roh Moo-hyun was president, back in the like 2004, 2005. What did he try to do? He wanted to decentralize, right? So he wanted to what? He wanted to move what? Yeah, he wanted to move the capital. He wanted to move the entire capital from Seoul to like the countryside because he wanted to decentralize. Okay? And was that a good idea or not so good idea? Okay? Good or not so good? Good? Okay. She says good. Who says not so good? Okay, not so good. Okay. Let's also, I want a couple of people who haven't spoken yet. Okay, in the back. What's your? Can you come up? Everybody take turns. Come on up. This class is right. Okay. All right. It's from a TV show, Price is Right. You heard of it? Okay. All right. Okay. What's your name?
My name is Minjung Shin.
Okay. You're Miss Min or Miss Shin?
Shin.
Okay. So, hi, Miss Shin. Hi, Miss Shin. Okay. So, Nomuyan, he wants to move the capital from Seoul to the countryside. Good idea or bad idea?
I don't understand your question.
Okay. 그 노무현 대통령이.
Oh, thank you.
그때 when he was president, he wanted to move the capital. Capital. What's capital in Korean? What? 수도. Learn that. Okay. Let's learn it together. 수도 바꾸고 싶었잖아요. He wanted to move government. He wanted to move the government from Seoul to Jibang. Is that a good idea or bad idea?
Good idea.
Okay, why is it a good idea? 한국말하고 내가 영어를 변환할게.
예.
아니면 you can do bad English or translate into good English.
한국말로 하고.
Okay, or do Korean English. Okay, go on. Okay.
지금 그 지방 공기업화가 공기업을 전부 지방으로 내려보내는 일이 지금 현실이 됐잖아요. 그래서 2014년을 기준으로 거의 대부분의 공기업이 지방으로 이미 다 내려가 있어요. 근데 이 상태에서 저는 부산에서 왔는데 부산의 경우에 4개나 5개 정도의 공기업이 내려와 있는데 그 주변에 상권이 엄청나게 발전했다고 해요. 지금 원래 부산은 발전된 도시이긴 하지만 예를 들어서 한전이 내려가는 한국전기 내려가는 나주라든지 광주 같은 경우에는 많이 발전되지 않은 지방도 있기 때문에 그런 것들이 내려가다 보면 그 지방도 균형을 맞춰서 발전할 수 있다고 생각을 하고 이게 만약에 현실이 되어서 우리나라의 수도가 만약에 내려가는 경우가 되면 지금 현재 서울에 집권되어 있는 모든 너무나 많은 상권들이나 그런 권력들이 너무 서울에 집중되어 있던 걸 다 내려가서 사람들이 좀 더 평준화까지는 아니지만 더 다양한 삶을 다양한 지방에서 살 수 있지 않을까 생각을 하고 이게 더 나아가서 지금 현재 대학이 서울에 있는 대학이 좋은 대학이다라는 그런 네임밸류를 가지고 있다면 이런 것들이 지방으로 분관해서 나아가 대학 특성화가 성공적으로 이루어지지 않을까 생각을 합니다.
Okay, thank you. 그 Korean so 멋있어. Yeah, that was Miss Shin, right? Okay.
Was it really fast Korean or?
Yeah, it was fast Korean. Okay. Anyway, so basically she's saying I'm from countryside, Busan. Okay, and so it's actually good for my city. It's good for my region because. So I want the government to decentralize and move the government agencies to other cities because it helps my city's development. Okay?
Isn't that a huge city?
It's a huge. Just compared to Seoul. Okay. Well, let me go one step back. I think we have this term called jibang, right? And jibang means like I'm not sure what is the English translation, but it's kind of like provinces. Okay, so basically any place outside of Seoul is considered provincial, even Busan. Okay, and so and if you live in the provinces, even at a big city like Busan, you feel this gap between Busan and Seoul. Okay, you feel like you're kind of being left behind, and so she supports the government agencies coming down to Busan and other provincial cities. And she feels that it gives us more equality, more opportunity. Okay. Now, Who disagrees? Who thinks it's a bad idea? Oh, you disagree? Yes. Okay. Okay. So politically, many people support the idea, but there's some people who oppose the idea. Why? What's bad about decentralizing? Anybody? Yes. Come on up. Next time I want somebody new. Okay. Or not. Or you don't have to be from Korea. But what's bad about decentralizing?
I think the better side is the quality might be lower.
Okay, quality.
Yeah,
might be lower.
equality will rise, but
Okay.
I think the quality will be lower, and if we work for for example, I'm working for public, and the working process might be faster if the public offices are centralized.
Right. What's your name?
My name is Hoyer.
Hoyer. Okay, say thanks, Hoyer. Okay. So Hoyer is making the argument that there's actually an economic term, which is that, for example, like the reason why you have things like Silicon Valley, you heard of Silicon Valley, is that companies benefit by being next to each other. And so, and the reason why many people, many companies, many government agencies, why they center in Seoul is because of the concentration, they're much more productive. They're much more creative. And by breaking it apart, by forcing government agencies to go down to the provincial cities, maybe you're increasing equality, but you're undermining like productivity and effectiveness. Just to give you a small example, in my other class, I told you about the flight attendant, right? Anyway, I went to America, I came back, I met this cute flight attendant, and then she emailed me, right? Blah, blah, blah. And then she was telling me the story about how I told her I'm married, so it's all good. But I invited her to speak to my students. So she has a boyfriend, okay? And her boyfriend used to work in a big like government agency, okay? And he was very happy, he was very productive. And then the government agency had to move down to Jeonju, which is like one of the provincial cities, right? Way, way far south, okay? And the city is very small. It's like, 200,000, okay? And so when the government agency moved down, many like smart people, they left because they didn't want to live in Jeonju. And one big reason is that if you have any like boyfriend, girlfriend, or if you have any spouse who works in Seoul, that means you're going to have a long distance relationship. And so basically everybody who graduated from like top universities, if they have a boyfriend or if they have a spouse, one of them will be working in Seoul. And so if you force the government agency to go down to like Sejong City or Busan or Jeonju, you're basically making them like commuter couples. And so some people do it, but many of them like they just quit, and he was forced to find another government job in Seoul that he was not happy at. But the flight attendant is really pretty, so that was his choice. Okay? But you see what I'm saying, right? So he went from a very productive job to a less productive job because he wanted to stay in Seoul. And so that means that all the ones who went down to Jeonju, either they're commuting every weekend and they're very tired, or they're kind of like losers and they cannot find a good job in Seoul. That's what I hear, okay? And the bottom line is that they're less productive. So those are the pros and cons. You're creating more equality, but you might be reducing productivity. And so it's a real challenge for governments to like 억지로 forcibly decentralize. Because in the United States, decentralization was very natural, was very organic. We created, we didn't force universities to decentralize, we did it from the beginning. And so American economy is naturally decentralized. But it's very hard for the government to, decentralize the social system. Okay? Even in the United States, like certain things like computer companies, they have to go to Silicon Valley. So, you saw the movie like Social Network, right? What's his name? Mark Zuckerberg. Yeah, Zuckerberg, right? Like smart guy, Harvard. A lot of smart people at Harvard. but if you want to be successful, you have to go to Silicon Valley. And so, so he moved his whole company because there's there's a very natural concentration there. And so no amount of government aid will force Facebook to stay in Harvard. Okay? Okay. So those are, anyway. So think about that in terms of like centralization and whatnot. Okay. Now the final key concept is diversity. I only have a minute left. Okay. So the old days, Korea was very homogeneous. Okay, homogeneous and very hierarchical. There's something we call like affective networks in English. I guess in Korean it would be like 인맥 or 관계. Okay, so one reason why people go to top universities is because school ties are very important. Social ties are very important, and they last. So like I remember like for example like, do you know people you went to elementary school with? Do you still keep in touch? Oh, good for you. Very nice. Right. But most Americans, no. I don't know who they are. Okay? But I hear like in Korea, like my wife, she still keeps in touch with her elementary school classmates. Did you do that? Oh, okay. Oh, wow. It's not just, okay. So it's not just my wife who's weird. Okay? So the idea is that like, family ties, school ties, regional ties are very strong. And so it's a very homogeneous, it's a very tightly networked society. But Korea's changing because, there's many new people coming to Korea now. So there's migration. There's also modernization. What does modernization mean? People want what? People want to be, individual. They want individual freedom. So they kind of don't like all those social networks and ties anymore. One thing that a lot of people complain about, young people, is that, like weddings and funerals, okay? Because as soon as you join a company, you have to go to all your coworkers' weddings and funerals. So, and actually, funerals are more important, right? So, like in sociology, one of the professors, like his father passed away. So, like somebody like texted me the funeral's in like 2 hours. Okay, so luckily I had a yangbok, like a suit in my office. So like I changed and then we all went the same day with 2-hour notice, because funerals you do not skip. Do you understand? And then if you if you skip, your coworkers just like slap in the face, right? But a lot of people they think, okay, let me get a Korean perspective. Do you like going to wedding? Would you like going to weddings and funerals, or that's not a good thing? No. I mean, so I'm saying that there's a Korean custom that once you join a company, you have to go to all your co-workers' weddings and funerals. 장례식 가야 된다고 그 일하는 사람, okay? 그 풍습이잖아. Okay, it's a custom. And if you don't go, bad, right? Whereas in like Western companies, that's not as strong, right? Yeah. Did you ever go to your, you understand, right? Because I remember I used to work in America and never went to my colleagues, father's funeral. That was weird. Okay. So some people think that's a good thing. It builds solidarity. But other people say, it's like a kind of a burden. It's a lot of obligation. Because especially in a big company, that means you're going to weddings and funerals like every weekend, because there's people are always dying, right? So like you're going like every weekend or at least several times a month. And so if you don't feel like you have a lot of free time to do what you want. Do you see? And so because of modernization, many people are saying, we don't want that. But they feel trapped. So there's this generation gap, okay? And there's also and another thing is that, one more story and then we're in. I have this friend who's he's a smart guy, he went to KAIS, and now he works at LG, right? And now he's in his mid-30s. So people keep asking him what? He's single, by the way. So what? So people keep asking him what? Yeah, when you're getting married, right? And especially at a big company like LG, if you want to be a president, you need to what? You need to be what? You need to be married. You cannot be a nalari and be president of LG, okay? You cannot be you cannot be a swinging bachelor, okay? I don't know what bachelors do, okay? So you cannot be you need to be married, okay, with a family, to be a top manager, to be a top personnel at top companies, okay? So, people, so it's like he's moving on up, okay? He's becoming like, top person. So people are asking him more and more like, how come you're not getting married? And he's like, how come, do you know why? Because he doesn't, he told me like, he doesn't like girls.
Oh, okay.
Right. Okay, so because he's gay, right? And then but he feels like I cannot tell anybody. Do you understand? Because well, I don't think it's that he's worried about like the prejudice, but he's worried that if people know I'm gay, I won't be accepted as one of the guys. So you're not fully accepted as part of the community. And so anyway, so he feels that like I don't know how to answer, so I'm just gonna look for another job. And so he's been talking to headhunters. I want a job. But the headhunter asked him like, you have such a good job at LG, how come you want to move? And so he doesn't know what to say. So anyway, so he feels kind of stuck. Okay? So anyway, but the point is that there's an old Korean model. Okay? But there's a lot of challenges to that model now. And you want to think about whether the model should change or not change. Okay? So those are some key questions I want you to think about, read, and write for the rest of the semester. Okay? How society is changing, and how should we change, and what are some good models out there? And think about your country, and maybe you want your country to change. Yes. Private life? Probably a lot less so than in the West. For example, like I remember when I was because I went to Yonsei University and I took Korean culture class, like many of you, and there's a custom that whenever opposite sex meet, the door needs to be open at least 2 inches. Right. So no privacy, unless you're married. And then if you're married, then people might still punch holes and peek, or custom. Your wedding night. So no privacy. It's family, okay? But there's pros and cons. I mean, I think the Western model, once you're married, you live away, you live by yourself, right? You don't live with your parents, okay? But in a lot of Korean families, and especially in Korean drama, you always live with your parents, okay? Maybe they do that because there's more drama that way. Okay? It makes for more interesting TV shows. But then I think there's also a lot of benefits, to living like 3 generations, right? Grandparents, parents, and kids all living in the same household. So I think there's some pros and cons to that kind of Confucian Korean system as well. Yes?
But I believe since I'm from the Middle East, so
okay.
I feel like these things how they are done in Korea, it's pretty general for all of Asia.
Okay, so Middle East and Asia.
You stay with your parents until you get married, and once you hit you're reaching the age of 30, your parents keep telling you, when are you getting married, when are you getting married? Like my brother, he's 29 now, and he's going insane. Like he moved to a different city, he works for a Shell there, and he doesn't want to come back home because people keep bugging him, when are you getting married?
Is he gay too?
No, he's not gay.
It's not that, okay.
But I feel like it's just the Korean things, it's very general for Asia. And when you're grew up in a country like the Netherlands, very Western, you're trying to find a way between the Asian culture and the Western culture. But that's the hardest thing to do. But I myself, since I'm Asian as well technically, I feel like our culture needs to change a little bit.
Okay.
Because we should be more acceptable of the guy you told just now, the one who's
You're right.
I feel like something like that should be accepted because you shouldn't be judging someone for their sexual preference. So I think that with that we are a bit behind on the Western culture.
Okay. Then what aspect of Asian culture do you like?
I love how we handle with family.
Okay.
Like we are very close with family, and that's something you miss in the Western culture, I feel. Like I have friends in the Netherlands, their grandmother or their aunt or whatever, they live down the street and they see them once every 2 months or something. And for me it's like my aunt lives on the other side of Netherlands and I go to see her every week.
Okay, right. So family ties are much stronger.
Yeah.
Okay, so respect old people.
Yeah, or respect in general. I feel that like respect is just sometimes missing a little bit, and then like people get respected for the wrong things sometimes, and then some people who's lived like a long life already and they have experience and nobody respects them. Like, yeah, I think that's better because like they know more than you, they've lived longer than you. I think they deserve a little bit of respect, kind of. And then sometimes you see, I don't know, how people are like mean to old people or something, and I think it's not okay, kind of.
Sure. So I think that's a big debate. And then because I know, like for example, like in California, for example, like 중학교, middle schools, they hand out they hand out condoms, right? Because people become sexually active at that age. But in Korea, people might think that's too what? Do you want your 중학교 to hand out free condom? Yeah? Okay. So he'd be very happy, like, ooh, it's free. I don't have to pay anymore. Okay? But other people might say what? Maybe at that age, you should what? You should be studying to get into Hanyang, not, focus on those other things. Well, so the criticism is that a lot of the public schools in America, they're hypersexualized. They're like thinking about sex all the time, blah, 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 as opposed to like, just.
They also have a lot of underage pregnancies.
Right.
But on TV and stuff, I also think maybe it's a little bit, I don't know what the relationship is, if it's because of that or if it's to prevent that, but maybe if you do all of that, you put it maybe in their mind as well a little bit. I don't know, I'm not American, so I can't judge it, but if somebody, I didn't get any condoms at that age handed from my school, and I didn't even think about these things at that age when I'm, to be honest, so if maybe somebody would have given it to me, maybe I would have started thinking about it.
Oh, so pure and innocent. Let's call her Chunyar. Yes.
At what age do you get like sexual education in Korea? Like in Holland, you get it from 10 years old, 11 years old, and elementary school, you get it already.
Okay. So she's saying that in Holland, you learn about sexual education when you're age 10. How about you? When did you learn?
Age 10?
Yes.
No,
I don't know to which elementary school.
Yes.
I don't know to which elementary school you went.
No, seriously, like in
Actually, I think California's like that too. Like maybe not 10, but
no,
10
like
or 11. Yeah.
And the last 2 years of your elementary school, they start with doing that.
Yeah.
And it's like
yes,
really
it's
awkward because everybody's like, oh, because you're kids, But I was really happy about it because that saved me the conversation to have with my mom and my dad, because I already knew it from school.
They're strangers.
I don't think there are strangers. Sorry, but I don't think they are. I mean, have you watched television? I mean, when you're 10 years old, you see people have sex on TV. You either want it or
That's
not.
what I mean. Somebody in school, there's like a teacher and like people in school, strangers, not your family, that come to you and give you condoms.
Sure.
No, they don't give you condoms. It's not that bad. It's just like you get like these videos like going through
Wait,
puberty
well,
and stuff like that.
I guess the question is, do you want to learn about sex from your family members or from like professional
I
teachers?
see where a different guy handed me, condoms, and my mom. Yeah,
seriously,
of course.
come on.
That's what your dad
No.
You don't want to learn from your dad?
Teacher to give me condoms than my dad. Yeah.
It's a very different. Yeah, it's very different.
I think like this, like I'd rather have like my mom explain it to me good and right and with morals and stuff, and not some stranger just like this is how it works. Like no,
But maybe it's also because of religion. Because for me, like sex and stuff, I'm a Muslim, it's like a taboo. Like you don't do it before marriage and stuff like that. So it's for me it would be very awkward to talk about that with my mom or my dad, you know.
Okay,
So
stop. We're gonna have a speed meeting. You can ask her questions like that. When did you learn about sex? All right. Okay. All right. Okay. Next, everybody stretch, break. Okay. All right. We don't have time to go over the syllabus, but I need a couple of volunteers for. I emailed you the syllabus, right? And it's also in Hanyangyan. So every week we have volunteers to go over the readings, and also every week everybody has to bring a summary. Okay, so this Friday we're gonna read about New Orleans, the school system. So everybody has to write at least 3 sentences what you learned, and I need one volunteer to share what you think. Okay, your analysis. So everybody has to take turns every week. Who wants to volunteer this Friday for extra points? Especially if you want to practice speaking English. Come on! It's just one newspaper reading, very simple. Okay, one volunteer. Can I get one low English person? You want to volunteer? Okay, think about it. Okay, so we have class Friday and then no class next week. Okay, so it's a big holiday, and then we come back on week 3. Okay, now.
We don't have our Friday either. No,
No,
we don't have Friday.
Oh, so no class on week 2.
No class on Friday.
Right. I have.
No, because holiday just is from Monday to Wednesday.
I know, right? But no class on Friday.
Okay.
Instead, we're just gonna have a field trip on week 9 to catch up. Okay, now. So everybody come to class. We have class this Friday, right? Yes. Okay, now